Good morning, can I start you? Welcome. This is the reading of my recent book of poetry, A Dark People. The gentleman at the end of the row here is Michael Cooke. You may remember him from Mulholland Drive and what he thinks is the worst movie ever made, Showgirls.
Very proud of that.
Very proud of that, yes. And the next gentleman is Thomas MacGreevey, who was born in Dublin, studied and started his career at the Abbey Theatre. He's been on Ryan's Hope for a number of years. And he's done various movies and films and television, and he's a wonderful actor. And next to me is my beautiful friend, Randi Mandaville. She has her most recent book is A Thin Strand of Lights, which is you can get it on Amazon. It's a wonderful book.
Yes.
Another thing I think we should add is this is reading is taking place in support of Tara, which is the movement of artists started by Ray Sullivan in Australia, America, and the British Isles to prevent the destruction of the hill Tara, where they're now building a superhighway. And it's a terrible shame, but we're still trying to do something about it. So, Mr. MacGreevey will begin. We will begin.
All right. The Bridge to America for Joe Kennedy. On board the rotting coffin ships, they fingered icons, beads, invoked the Sacred Heart of Christ. Our Irish forebears, proud in rags, with mouths of crooked teeth, the meek who dared inherit earth. Unmoved by intimation scrawled across prophetic winds, they sought the solitude of stars. At last, a landfall came in view, a dark expanse of coast, this brooding new Hibernia. I picture them on rundown wharfs, the greenhorns striking out for Canaans all across the land. Pretenders to the windfall night, the vast unchosen staked their claims, the meek who dared inherit earth.
The poem I'm going to read is called Durish, and I have to explain that when I was growing up, we never mentioned we were Irish, or we talked about being Irish because we were shamed with poverty and a lot of bad things. But we did have a picture hanging in our living room, and my uncles in Omaha and New York also had the same picture of a place called Durish, because by God, we could come from Durish. We lived in a place that had a name, a state. And I used to hear about that all the time. Durish, look at the picture. It was a beautiful Georgian house with ivy growing up it. And so when I was a young man, never a crack in my heart, in 1966, I went back to see Durish. And I don't know if you ever saw the movie Zulu, but in the movie Zulu, as the Zulus are preparing to attack the English, one character in that movie, whose name I don't recall, says to another character whose name I don't recall, what's the name of this place? And the guy says, it's Rorke's Drift. And he said, it would take an Irishman to name a godforsaken place like this. And that's how Durish was. It was a rundown place. It was a metal barn that was rusty, and I took pictures of it and sent it back to my uncles, and they didn't speak to me for about 6 months. They said, "Oh, you took a picture of the wrong place," so on and so forth. But they finally admitted that it was Durish, and that was the way it was. And all our romances were, romantic Ireland's dead and gone. It's with O'Leary in the grave, as Jay said. I'm going to read Durish for Elizabeth Carnazzo, my cousin. A rundown Georgian house, the remnants of a barn, a stony plot of fallow land. It took a conic man to give this place a name. Some farmer kin of mine who plowed and harrowed here 200 years ago or more, who knew the cradle maker's skill, the coffin builder's art. I tell the dowager who gives me tea and cake, I've come to her from far away, walking miles of country road to find this humble farm. She speaks distractedly of Simpsons, Martins, all that Church of Ireland crowd, the rusty kettle long forgot, still steaming on the hob. The ones who stayed behind, her relatives and mine, asleep in country churchyards now, their graves almost concealed with sprawling ivy weeds. I think of uncles, aunts who sat on Brooklyn stoops before the 2 world wars and longed for seed and harvest time in fields they never saw again. At dusk, I take my leave of every stick and stone, of generations island proud, whose industry sustained these fields, replenish fallow ground. The cradle maker's heir, the coffin builder's kin, I wander back along the road with neither skill nor art to raise these ruins up again.
My dark people, invoking a wrathful God with candles, icons, beads, the liturgy of the Middle Ages, my dark people clutched faith like a crucifix. The grim descendants of a tribe, hardened by famine and plague, that bullied, burned, and killed in the old blackguard days, knew the grief and shame of the heartbreak fields, the hunger and the want of winter. Schooled in the pubs, they clothed an insult in the guise of praise, praise in the guise of an insult. Reared in the impenitent rage of my forefathers' blood, I am Thomas O'Kerrigan. Be wary, lover, stranger. We emerged in a black hour. Our legacy, a blessing and a curse.